We're waiting for technology to kick in.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
And then we'll start the meeting. I feel like I'm sitting over there.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, we've got technology running, so we can start our meeting tonight. Thanks, everybody, for coming, who is here. First thing I need to do is approve the minutes from our last meeting. We met in January. We didn't meet in February because it was midwinter break, so we hadn't met then, but I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting. I'm sure everybody's had an opportunity to read. Second the motion. Thank you. All right, the minutes from our last meeting are approved. So, it's 2024, and we got a lot going on this year, which is actually really exciting. I put on the agenda, one of the things that we want to kind of improve on this year is getting more subscribers for, more eyes on our website and more subscribers to our newsletter. We have about 450 at this point, which is a decent number. But boy, would I love to see that get doubled and then some in the next year or so, the next few months. So if you know somebody who isn't subscribing yet to the newsletter, will you please pass the word along? Because I do usually submit updates on events that are going on every couple of weeks, things that are happening. So that would be great. The other thing that would also be great is that we have some monthly subscribers, and it would be wonderful if we could increase that number, because that provides a steady flow of income into Friends of Madison Park without us periodically going back and begging for money for events and everything. So at this point, we have, I think it's about 15 monthly subscribers, and it would be wonderful, and it's easy to do on the website to just, it can either be $10, $15, $25 a month to be a monthly subscriber. So again, if you are doing it, or if you know other people you think would be interested in becoming monthly subscribers, that would be wonderful. I think the next thing I want to address is, as I say, we have a lot of events coming up starting this month, next month. Oh, this month, yes, excuse me. We have a lot, yes. On Saturday, we have our Easter egg hunt, and Becky's going to get up and talk a little bit more about that. But we are needing volunteers for a number of our events that are coming up. And I'll let her address the Easter egg hunt, but we have a spring cleanup that is coming up in April, April 20th, on Saturday, April 20th. And we just need people to show up and do some sweeping and weeding and cleaning in the neighborhood, and gathering friends to do that for all of 3 hours. The Gilbert Elementary is working with children and their parents to come down and help. Our hope is that we will tackle the business district, and we will also, if we have enough people who show up, we'll kind of go a little further, go into the park, do a bit more weeding and cleaning in the park and around the sidewalks, all around the park area. We have supplies that we are given from the city, and they will come up and they will come and pick up any trash bags, any yard waste bags that we have when we're all said and done. So you'll check in at the Bank of America corner. Yes.
That was my question. So the check-in is at the Bank of America?
It is.
At what time?
Yes, we'll be doing it from 9 till noon. And there should be, I don't know if there are a lot of these signs up around the neighborhood, but I'm gonna work on being sure we got more of these signs up in the next month, so people know. And if you feel like you're gonna be able to volunteer, I don't have a I think it's a Genius list or whatever to be able to sign in, but you can always email me and let me know that you're gonna be there. That's at president@friendsofmadisonpark.com. We've got people who are kind of heading up, taking care of each block. They'll pick up your tools, sign a waiver form from the city, and get gloves, vests, and whatever tools you need. We get a limited number of tools from the city, so if you have favorite things that you'd rather bring with you, that would be great as well. So there, we have, I'm gonna let different people get up and discuss their different events. I will say, we had talked about trying to do a yard sale this spring, but we have decided we're gonna hold on that possibly until next fall. We just have so many events going on right now that we just thought and all good, but we're maxed on the number of things that we can manage this year. So we need volunteers for the garden tour that's coming up. We need volunteers for spring clean. We need volunteers for Second Chance Prom that's coming up. You're gonna hear more about that. We need volunteers for the Children's Parade and Picnic that will be in July. We'll hear more about that. And we need someone, if anyone is interested, to step in and head up a welcome committee. We've been talking about doing that before. Thank you, Kevin, for reminding me about that. As people move into the neighborhood, it would be a really wonderful show of welcome if we're able to give them some maybe gift coupons from the different businesses and just a card to say welcome to the neighborhood. So if anybody's interested in heading that up, I would love to have that as well. I have a volunteer sign-up sheet that hopefully is a little simpler than the one that I was handing out in last meetings. So you can put your name, phone number, email, and just check off whatever committee you might be interested, whatever project you might be interested in getting involved with. So I'm gonna pass this around and you can just take your time looking at it while we do other business. Okay. Well, I just gave this to Meg, but I'm gonna let Meg come up and talk about the McGillivray auction. Meg Hartley is head of the PTA at McGillivray Elementary School, and they have their spring auction coming up, so I will give you a minute to talk about that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have our spring auction on April 27th coming up. It's going to be at the Eventide Thai Yacht Club on Lake Union, kind of off of East Lake there. It's our first in-person auction since before COVID. So we're working hard to bring that back for a fun community event. We're opening it up to community members, so if there are other people who may not be directly affiliated with the school but are interested in attending and showing support, that would be awesome. We are going to be putting the ticket link and some other information out through Friends of Madison Park, so thanks to Octavia for her support there. But yeah, we're also looking for support and procuring currently from local businesses. The neighborhood is always so supportive. So if you have ideas or a network or a connection for auction items, we would be very appreciative. For that, we are about 50,000 behind our fundraising goal for the year. So we're really hoping to make that up with the spring auction. The PTA raises money for the school for an academic interventionist, our art program, our library. We fund 3 tutors for the school that help with additional academic support for our students. So we really do a lot that Seattle Public Schools doesn't directly provide. We're always so appreciative of support from the neighborhood. So thanks again, Octavia. Again, we'll be sending the ticket link out as well as other information if you're able to support. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
On location.
Yeah, we're excited about it. They've been very supportive too, and they do a lot of work with nonprofits, which is nice.
And right now, I want Diane to, give us her financial report on Friends of Madison Rock. You ready? Okay.
Well, first of all, I need to buy a new printer. I need this cute, nice, simple treasurer's report for you guys, but, the printer wasn't cooperating. But here's the big picture of what has occurred. You know, we just ended our fiscal year, calendar year on December 31st. And, you know, we had a good year, really. You know, we started out the year with funds from Madison Park Community Council of about $5,000. During, the period in which we operated, which was fundamentally June through December in the calendar year, we brought in $48,444. Sponsorship and ticket sales. So that's all good. We spent on the expense side $28,400. And those were organizational type overhead costs and then direct costs of the events. And this is cash basis, this is not accrual, but, so our net increase to our cash for the year was just over $20,000. So that's all we did was give it for everybody who participated in that. The cash balance right now in the checking account as of today is about $25,000. So, you know, it's, basically all the money that we effectively made during last calendar year increased our cash balance. So we had, you know, we started with 5, we added 20, we're about 25. So we're in good shape. I just wanted to mention that we've got a couple of, and this is really only probably important for me, but I'll share with you guys, that we have a tax return due with the IRS called a Form 990N. And that form is due on May 15th. And it's simple to do, but it basically is reporting these numbers that I just told you about. The revenue and the expenses and the net number. We also have a Washington State B&O tax return due on April 15th. So I need to look at that because as a nonprofit, we should be exempt from B&O taxes, or at least be able to deduct a large portion of our revenue because it comes from public support. So I'm confident that that won't be a big expense, if any at all. And some other deadlines I'm monitoring, you know, we got a new business license with Washington State in July. There's a corporate annual report that is probably due around the same time. There's also the Washington Charities report, which can be due at a different time than this corporate annual report. So I'm monitoring those dates and following up on that. There's a few loose ends that I need to research a bit. It's interesting to me that we don't have a Seattle, you know, tax return or a Seattle business license, and maybe we need to run that down. So those are the things that I am aware of that's going on, and just trying to keep our, you know, our eye on the ball. I also will bring out, if you have any questions, I have an email account now, treasurer@friendsofmadisonpark.com, if you ever have any questions about the finances. Or if you would like to see this really nice report that I put together for you that I couldn't print, I'm happy to email it to you.
We'll be sure that it's on the website.
Sounds good.
So we're so much better off than we were last year. And, I mean, one of the things that we know is that we have some projects that will probably entail doing capital campaigns, from wanting to do planters, in the business district, that will probably be a capital campaign fundraiser, to talking about the community center, which Kevin will address here shortly.
Quick, I was just noticing, because I know we had talked about the planters. I was in Madrona Sunday, and I noticed their flower pots are gone, or their flower baskets. Do you know what happened up there?
I know that they are working on raising funds to have containers. So there's,
Oh, okay.
they what, I'm
I
sorry.
thought they were doing that.
So they're not a burner.
Okay, never mind. Never mind my question.
Yeah,
Well, because we've been talking about it, so I was looking for them. They're not here anymore.
no, but I'm assuming, I don't know if they're part of the BIA program through the city, the business improvement area, they're not, okay.
Hi, I just moved my business out of Madrona into Madison Park, so I was a sponsor of one of the flower baskets, so I know a little bit about it. Yeah.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
and
it's
we-
done by the neighborhood association.
And in some ways that segues into one of the things that we are working on. And there's a few things that are gonna overlap here between the public safety committee presentation and also Beautify Madison Park initiative, I would say, is that we are hoping that we are going to have the ability to have planters along the business district. We're starting out hopefully with 10 at some point later this spring, and maybe 10 more starting in the fall. And I'm meeting with someone tomorrow about doing the plantings. We have containers. I posted on our website a drawing of what the containers look like. I have photographs as well, but that'd be pretty much in front of the post, the electrical posts along the street and in a few different areas, just to bring a little bit of color and neatness. And if that's a success and we can take it a step further, we will do more in the fall. But that's what we're working on right now, but it's not defined, definitive, so until I really know that we can pull this off. It's not, it's more than a wish list, but we're getting it. One of the next thing is that I wanted us to take an opportunity in our neighborhood meetings to introduce different organizations, different businesses that are coming into the neighborhood that you may not see as a storefront along the business district, but these are businesses that are providing a real service to our community. And this week I invited two businesses, Jenna Ferguson, am I saying your last name right? Jenna Ferguson is Madison Park Pilates Studio, and Annie Lindbergh is The Point Acupuncture, and there's more to learn from both of you about your businesses. But I just thought it's a good thing for us to know the businesses that maybe we don't see the storefront for, and hear a little bit about what their businesses are. So Jenna, Annie?
Hi, I'm Jenna, and I was fortunate enough to take over the Pilates studio that's in the Triangle Building, and I are both in that building. I'm underground, but it's a beautiful space, and Annie's on the second floor. But you may not have known there was a Pilates studio there because the previous owner wasn't taking any new clients. And so the difference is that I'm there most of the week, and I take privates, I take duets, or that's the other thing, and that's changed. And I have very small, what I call semi-private mat classes. I teach classical Pilates, which isn't any different than what was there previously. And I'm from Seattle. I went to Bush School for 4 years. So I know this area very well. I used to live in Leschi, in the hills of Leschi, until my 97-year-old mother needed my help. So I now live just a little northeast of Laurelhurst. But it is, I feel so fortunate to be here. I start very early and get to often see the sunrise. And I'm just amazed that it's an amazing way to start the day and to be back in like the neighborhood that I kind of grew up in, because I had a lot of friends around here. And what can Pilates do for you is, I think Pilates is for your everyday life. I have taught, I have notes and I'm not gonna do that. I've taught from 8-year-olds that we have a lot of fun because Joseph Pilates thought that he watched animals and children to see how they move and how easily they move to get our bodies back into great shape and health. And I've taught people in about my mom's age. So I think Pilates, when people come to me and say, what can I do for me? Or they come to me saying, can you help me? I say, well, I'll try, I'll do my best. And I'm always amazed. I never know what's gonna happen, but I'm always amazed. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about a couple of clients that I had. Well, one just ran the Cherry Blossom, and her goal was a 9-minute mile. So I texted her and I said, did you make the 9 minutes? Because she didn't think she was gonna make the 9 minutes, and she said, I did 8.38. So, those are the kinds of things. I had another client come to me who, as a teenager, early teens, like somewhere between 11 and 13, she had some kind of aneurysm, stroke. So she's been in a wheelchair all her life. She has the greatest outlook on life, and I always feel like she gives me more than I give her. But she can hold herself up, but she can't stand up on her own for more than maybe 30 seconds. Well, one day I was doing our routine, I was putting things away, and usually what I would do is I would help her stand up, get to her wheelchair, and we'd go off to the next place. Well, after putting things away, I turned around and she's standing up on her own. And I looked at her and I said, did you see what you did? She nodded. I said, have you ever done that before? She shook her head. And after her lesson, I went into the employee lounge and nearly cried, because I never know what's gonna happen, and that was amazing. Another client of mine came once a week, and it was slow going. She could barely walk half a block. And after about a year and a half, she was coming to me here, and we walked and walked and walked. And, we stopped a little bit, but then I turned to her and I said, did you realize we walked 2.5 to 3 blocks? And again, she started crying. So I'm just amazed. Joseph Pilates, as eccentric as he was, really knew something about how to help the body. And I feel really fortunate that I get to help my clients. I've been teaching for 20 years. I taught around the country and in Paris, France, which was kind of a trip. And a lot of people think that in Paris they call it doucement. It's exercise doucement. It's sweet, it's easy. But you can get a really good Pilates workout. You can get a sweat on. And I believe Pilates meets you where you are, which I think is one reason why I stick to the privates, the duets, the small classes, because I'm teaching the body in front of me, and if I'm teaching 12 bodies at a time, I'm not helping people as much as I could. So I have made up discount cards exclusively for the people who came to these meetings, so I'd like to pass those out. And please call me or text me if you have any questions about Pilates.
And Annie, you want to come in and tell about your?
I'm Annie Lindberg, and I'm the owner and practitioner at the Point Acupuncture across the street, just above Jenna. And a little plug for Jenna, we've done a trade, and she's fantastic, so recommend her. And let's see, so I have been practicing for 8 years, and I've been here in Madison Park for 6. And I love working with a huge variety of people, but I love working with people who are ready to make a change, and they're ready to take the steps. Like, they're not interested in just getting a pill to relieve pain, but are ready to make shifts with nutrition, with lifestyle. And a little bit about my background. I got into this, well, in my mid-20s, I had some pretty significant digestive challenges, and I started getting really bloated. And with that came fatigue and also some anxiety, and my gut was really inflamed. Like, my stool was like pencil thin because my colon was so swollen. And Western medicine wasn't able to figure out what was wrong. And I was fortunate, though, to work with an acupuncturist and also an Ayurvedic practitioner, and they were so instrumental in my journey. And they were able to figure out that I was allergic to gluten. And this was before that was a thing. Like, gluten was, GF was not a thing on menus. And so, of course, part of it is like eliminating that from your diet. But they were so supportive in making those changes and embodying a lifestyle that was conducive to deeper health, and through the acupuncture, like bringing me into a state of health, like a parasympathetic nervous system place where you can heal. And these experiences springboarded me into my path. And I work with a wide variety of people. Of course, because of my background, I love working with digestive issues, and they can be furtive, right? So they don't always manifest as like pain in your belly, but because you're not absorbing like key nutrients, they can manifest as, as fatigue, as insomnia, anxiety, depression, rashes, headaches. I love working with women's health. I've worked with a lot of women who like have come off of birth control after many years of being on birth control and just never regained their periods, and are now like interested in having a kid, and working with people to like come back into that balance. Work with a lot of people who have like significant PMS and menstrual challenges, heavy periods. I've been diagnosed with PCOS or endometriosis. I work with a lot of people who are like getting on that journey of being interested in having kids and preparing for that, and also the process of being pregnant and all the challenges that come with that. Women who've had a bunch of miscarriages and are trying to get to a place where they can carry a healthy child, or who are going through IVF, supporting that. I love working with cancer patients who are like in a place where they really want to come to a space of their own vitality, like both supporting them through like the chemo process and all of those challenges, and then also post that, like coming to a place where they're like moving into true health. And then of course, like the physical challenges. Like I work all the time with people with arthritis who are told that something's going to be painful for the rest of their life, or they aren't going to be able to do something, they aren't going to be able to lift their arm. And yet they come and they do the work and they do. And so these things that people are told aren't always the case. I work a lot with low back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, hip pain. And acupuncture is great at like not just helping the pain go away. I mean, it does help with that, it's really good at that, but also like helping to get to help the tissue become healthy, so that it's not just I don't feel pain but I can't move freely, but like I can move freely through space. And then I love like the piece of it that's like being a detective. So somebody, when it's like somebody's been to a lot of practitioners and they don't feel great in their body and they don't know why. There may be a bunch of different symptoms going on, and acupuncture really, in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda too, which I haven't explained too much, but that's the traditional medicine of India. Both of these are sort of medical systems in themselves that have been practiced for thousands and thousands of years. But both of these symptoms are pretty good at looking at symptoms that seem diverse or divergent and sort of looking at the overall, like the unifying pattern and trying to get to the root of it. So, and I love just meeting people, like Jenna said, where they're at. So people are at all different places in their health journey, and I love being a partner in that. And yeah, I think website's a great place to go if you want more information, but I'm always happy to talk with people on the phone if you have any questions about like whether it might be a good fit or anything else. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I will also say on our website, there, under the different businesses, Anita Carmen did a wonderful article just on the number of health-related businesses we have in the community. And both Ann and Jenna's business are in there, and so their website and their contact information is there.
And I too can give a plug for Annie, because I've had a session with her, and I've had sessions with other acupuncturists, and she is very, very attentive, aware, and there.
Thank you both for coming. And is this,
I don't know what that is.
oh, that was on, that's my stuff, never mind.
I'll put some cards here.
Oh, wonderful, that's great. So next, we're gonna talk, have the Public Safety Committee come up and talk. We had a meeting last week, I lost track of time already, the week before.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago with Joy Hollingsworth, our council representative, which was, and a number of the businesses that have been struck here lately. So, Cam, take it away.
Yeah, Jada and Claire, you guys know anything? Well, you're gonna have to talk about block watch. I'll throw it to you in a minute. So yeah, as Tina mentioned, a little bit of backstory. We've had like a lot of random weird break-ins and crime in the neighborhood. Really, kind of, I became super aware of it last summer, but then it kind of died down. And then there was the big incident with the jewelry store. I'm sure if anybody walked by, they saw what was going on there. And then a number of other businesses were victimized as well. Like Refined over in our Green Court was also hit. So we thought, hey, we've got a new city council member. Let's see if we can have a meeting with her. She's publicly said that safety is one of her top priorities. So we reached out to her office and they responded immediately and said, yes, absolutely, we'd love to come down and meet. So that's like step one, amazing. Very, very responsive. So we set up a meeting. She came down and met with our group and then some of the local business owners who were either impacted or not, maybe just had safety concerns, but people from the businesses along the strip here. And it was really just a get to know you kind of intro session where we shared a lot of our concerns and what's been happening in the neighborhood, and she kind of shared where she was coming from. And we were pretty happy with what we heard. It was a lot more safety and what can we actually do that are actionable steps versus like politics. But of course, she's a politician, so politics did come into it. And for me, that was one of the big takeaways, was that a lot of the things that are keeping the city of Seattle from implementing like a lot more public safety programs or having more police on the street might be city issues. They might also be county or statewide issues. So we have some ideas of how to like, can we influence things at that level as this tiny little organization? Not sure, but we're gonna look into it, maybe meet with Dow Constantine. Gina says, yes, we can, and her little dog. Boom, there it is. But ultimately, like, we just felt that we were already really aligned with her priorities, so that's great. So it was just a good get to know you session. We had each of the business owners who was there kind of state like if they could say one thing to your city council member or ask one thing of your city council member, what would that be? And so they had an opportunity to speak their mind and share their individual concerns. And another great thing that came out of this was that we did sense some interest amongst the business owners of collaborating on security or how they address these concerns in the future. Because ultimately, like, yes, call the police, yes, have an alarm company, but there are kind of roadblocks to fast response or a response that we would like to see. Like when you call the cops and you say, they're here breaking into my business and it still takes like 20 minutes to get somebody down here. Obviously that's rough, it's a staffing issue. And then when it comes to security, like those are really individual investments in terms of what you're willing to do for security of your own business. Like the owner of Refine was saying, she has like live 24-hour monitoring, and so there was somebody on the speaker yelling at the perpetrators, like live in the moment, like, hey, knock it off, we've called the police. Obviously that didn't stop them from slamming a vehicle into the building multiple times and trying to steal a bunch of stuff. So yeah, it sounds like a really good investment. Is it actually a best practice? We're not sure. But we are hoping that the business owners might be a little bit more willing than they have been in the past to talk about collaborating, either sharing best practices, sharing costs when it comes to security systems, that kind of thing. I would say if y'all want to participate more, Joy Hollingsworth does have public safety meetings of her own that we can all go and attend. I'm going to make an effort to try to get to some of them. And the schedule for those meetings is on her page at seattle.gov if anybody wants to look that up. I think just keeping the communication open is probably the best thing that we can do. And she was supportive of kind of our planters as bollards idea, where if we can have more kind of extremely large concrete heavy obstructions between the street and business fronts, that may help with things in the future. The other awesome thing that happened is that Gina and Claire held a meeting about block watches, and I didn't know if you wanted to say a couple words about how your meeting went, because I wasn't there.
Do you want to talk to me?
Sure. It was really cool. We had a couple people from the city come and talk to us about block watches. They handed out materials. I don't think we have any of those materials with us tonight.
We can send them out.
But if you are interested in setting up a block watch for your neighborhood, then you can get in touch with me or Gina, and we can help you get the information to set that up. It's really supposed to be like a grassroots, like from your neighborhood, way of getting everyone connected, and you can make that look however you want. For your block, there were a few ideas that people were throwing around that they've implemented in their neighborhoods. Another thing that they were kind of emphasizing was the Find It, Fix It app, which is available to our city. It's really good for graffiti, broken street lamps, if there are tents set up on your private property or around the neighborhood that you're concerned about. Fortunately, that doesn't seem to be as much of an issue in our neighborhood. But that's available for everyone to use. You might have to be a little persistent. I've heard it works, but I'm in the middle of trying to get through to them for this dock over here that's all covered in graffiti. But hopefully next meeting I'll have something positive to report about that. So.
And just to add on to what she said, we had 42 people in attendance. It was awesome. And it was the neighborhood from 33rd on the other side of Madison, so it faces the Broadmoor Hedge, to the Arboretum. So there's maybe 100 households there. So I think that was a really good turnout for that amount of houses. And the one thing that really struck me was the misinformation as to what Block Watch means. It's just a name, but it doesn't have anything to do with the police department. And I know that's something that a lot of people have said, well, you know, I don't want the police monitoring, you know, what our neighborhood's doing. And I'm like, no, that's just the name that it was given in the 70s. But it's all about the neighborhood getting together and, you know, helping each other, whether it's your elderly neighbor that needs to be checked in on every once in a while, or, you know, just knowing your neighbor's spaces. So when you see somebody, you know, that doesn't look familiar walking through their yard, you can be like, oh, that person's never walked through that yard before. And I gave an example. We own the house next door to us, and it's a rental, and there was this gal walking through the backyard. And I work from home, so I went outside. I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? You know, nothing confrontational or anything. I was like, oh, do you know Johanna? And she's like, and I'm thinking, oh my God, who is this person walking through the yard, right? And she's like, oh yeah, she's dating my dad. And I'm like, oh, you know, but it's stuff like that. So if you don't know who lives there, you don't know, you don't know what their kids look like. You don't know, you know, what their siblings look like or whatever. But so it's all about neighborhoods coming together. And how I did it with our neighborhood was I have a piece of paper, and I'm happy to share it with anybody. Matter of fact, I meant to send it to you and I didn't. But I just took it to every house and gave it to them, and probably 80% of the households filled it out and put it back in. I put a plastic bin on my front porch, so I created a spreadsheet. And it's been super helpful because we haven't done that for a long time. We've had a lot of turnover in our neighborhood, and so it's been great. So I highly suggest that everybody, if you can, you know, try to get a block watch going in your neighborhood, or if you want to call it community awareness, whatever. It's just about knowing your neighbors and being neighborly.
How is neighborhood being defined here? 'Cause it sounds like it's multiple subsections of all of Madison Park, so I just want.
Well, it used to be a block, We just, cause we're kind of like, we call ourselves Broadwest. We're surrounded by Broadmoor on 3 sides. So it just made sense to do our whole little group, but traditionally a block watch is a block, you know, but I don't know, to me it makes sense to have like backwards blocks, like if you share an alley, having those 2 blocks actually being your block watch, but it's been super helpful and the neighbors were so thankful.
So it's nothing to
Oh,
find with the city.
and the other
It's
thing.
whoever you can successfully rally together,
Yeah.
so.
So the other thing that was super interesting that they brought up that I know we talked about, I was shocked, but, there was multiple neighbors that have seen people going around, what were they saying, they were casings and taking pictures of their security cameras and this and that, so they got pictures of these people taking pictures of their security cameras. And it wasn't just one neighbor, it was a couple of them that said that they've seen that, so, you know, these guys are out there for whatever they can get, so we just have to take care of ourselves and our neighbors, so.
Yeah, that's a great example of like the kind of connection that this program can
Yeah,
foster.
exactly.
Yeah, and there is, I don't know if all the documents that y'all have are on the website, but I know we do have some block watch information on Friends of Madison Park, resources, safety, if y'all want to check that out as well.
I'll send out a message,
Cool.
and my little form to pass out to them. My little Word doc.
Thank you.
That's great. And we did talk to Joy Hollingsworth about coming and speaking. Coming and speaking at one of our neighborhood meetings, and she seems very interested in doing that. So we'll make that happen, hopefully in the next few months as well. And I will say we're calling it a neighborhood watch in our block, but we are working on having a gathering and getting everybody's name and contact information and seeing as well in our neighborhood, there's been a lot of turnover. So it's really good to make those connections again. Post-COVID, where, you know, you couldn't talk to anybody for so long. All right, the next event that is coming up for Friends of Madison Park is the Easter egg hunt. And this coming Saturday.
Yay, Saturday is the Easter egg hunt.
Woo!
I'm gonna just not talk about the weather, but. I didn't say things and then bad things happen the next day, I'm just not gonna say. And Becky, I'm, along with lots of volunteers, gonna be there on Saturday at 8:30, is when we're gonna start setting up. So if you'd like to come and help us, we really appreciate your help. It's not a long event, it's really gonna only go from 10 till 12. We're going to have Easter egg hunting, which will take all of like 5 minutes probably per section. We are separating it though so that there'll be 0 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 10, and that's just gonna be chaos. But the little kids will have their time, so they can actually get some eggs. We're gonna have the Easter Bunny, we're going to have crafts, we're gonna have music, live music, and some Key Bank is bringing coffee and hot chocolate. We're gonna have some food. Madison Kitchen is donating some scones as well as some other things we're gonna have there, and we're gonna have games. If anybody would like to come lead some really fun games with the kids, I would really appreciate that. And yeah, it should just be a really good time. And we'll also need help cleaning up afterwards. And again, it's not like we have tons and tons of stuff. We're just gonna be taking down some tables, taking them back over to Junior League, who has graciously donated tables and some chairs, and just taking down some couple decorations. It shouldn't be long, but we'd appreciate any help. If you'd like to do that, let me know.
I've already talked about spring cleanup, I got ahead of myself, so there's the Second Chance Prom is our next one. Did we lose Grace?
She'll be
Oh, but Marianne is here. So we now have an official date and a flyer that's gonna be going up everywhere.
I'll print a copy of the flyer. Look at it.
This is a tiny one, but we've got to get that over by 17th tomorrow, and it'll be posted. So tell us about the Second Chance Prom.
Other than that, we had too much fun with the AI on that. That was a lot of fun. Might have been a little too much fun.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grace.
I'm Marianne.
We did not practice this. I promise.
No, we just.
Are you guys twins?
Don't joke.
It's getting weird. Okay, a few updates.
Yep.
There has been a date change, first of all. We have it locked in now. The original date we had discussed was May 11th, I think, at the last meeting. That has been moved to June 1st. So we have a little bit more time to plan, but it also just worked out better with the band that we wanted to hire, which is the other big piece of news. We have locked in the band, Moxie. They are some local musicians. Those of you who were at the Christmas caroling may remember them. The guitarist that we had and actually the two guitarists we had are both members of this band. So it's an 8-piece band, I believe, or 6-piece? 8-piece band. So we'll have horns, guitar, the whole gamut. Very much a party wedding kind of band. So it should be a lot of fun. And then in between their playing, we'll have some DJ music as well.
We're super excited, and just a reminder, it's going to be at the MLK Fame Center, right by the Bush School. And we are going to start being really annoying about this. We do need volunteers. We're looking for about 25 volunteers, some for takedown, some for tear down, a coat check, and then tickets, being able to receive those. So every piece should be a limited amount of time. So we're just looking to sign up. And reminder that the event ends at 11, so takedown will not be the end of you. Please consider that, or if you have teenagers, we will take all of the students. If they need their volunteer hours, happy to help sign any of those for them. So
It's going to be the end of the school year. If they've got to get the last ones in under the wire, they can come to us and we will help them out. They sadly will not be able to attend the event because it is 21 plus, because there will be a bar there. It's going to be a cash bar, probably card bar, but that's not really a thing people say. And we've got a photographer locked in. Photos will be available that night. The same photographer who did the Christmas photos here with Santa will be coming and doing prom photos for us and doing printout right away and immediate availability. And those are included with prom tickets.
which will be $50.
They are on sale. They're available on the Friends of Madison Park website already. The event's listed in a few other places as well on social media, Facebook, Instagram. But tell your friends, tell people you know, anybody who's over 21. It's going to be a really inclusive event, all ages past 21. So it's just a really exciting opportunity, I think, to get all dressed up. It's going to be full formal. We've got black tie optional as the dress code, meaning, you know, obviously cocktail wear, suits, but even if you want to whip out the opera gloves and wear a full-on ball gown, that is more than what I will be in sequins, for the record. So very excited.
Yeah. And just so you know about the ticket price, because I know there have been questions about the price, there is no fundraising involved in this. We are just looking to break even with this event. So that is where that cost comes from. Happy to give any of you a full breakdown of how we got to that number if you like. I think we can probably make that available if there's questions.
Of course, any funds we do end up with that are left over, if we sell every single ticket, we'll have a little bit, you know, left over, and that will go back into the general fund for other events.
What is the max for that space?
We are hoping to sell 250 tickets minimum pre-sale. The max capacity for the space is actually 376, but with having tables and chairs and allowing for some tickets to be sold at the door, which we're gonna earmark about 50 for door sales, unless we have huge demand before then, you know, we'll sell pre-sale if we need to. But we're looking to have about 325 max people with volunteers, the Friends of Madison Park attendees, and then guests. who
Is
are
it in the
purchasing.
auditorium? Like
Yes,
the-
yeah.
That's where our block watch meeting was.
Oh, nice, yes, you've seen the space, you've
Yeah,
been in
great
there, it's
spot.
pretty big.
Yes.
What else?
Spacious.
Um,
DJ.
Oh, the theme is a walk in the clouds. So it is going to be very white, ethereal, beautiful, lots of like light gray tones, white, pink, sort of
Again, we're
pastels.
having too much fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be very
Flag
cheesy
Flag
prom.
machine.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
There's a flag machine. We're gonna have we're gonna have a custom cocktail.
Yes, yes. We're talking about having, it's gonna be like a pretty, it's called a cloud nine, or is the cocktail called a walk in the clouds? Anyway,
We went with a cloud nine.
it's a beautiful little gin cocktail with the purple gin, and then we're talking about getting a cotton candy machine to make little cotton candy clouds to go on top. We're having way too much fun.
And so if you wanna be one of the decoration setup volunteers, we will happily brainstorm with you.
Yes, yeah.
Again, too much fun. But yeah, so that will be June 1st. So we've got a little bit of time, but please, for now, all tickets are sold through the website.
Mhm.
We may have an Eventbrite added later, but we're kind of looking at a couple of things on it with fees. So yeah, buy through the site for now.
I also, I want to shout out, I don't think really any of these people are here, but I just want to say thank you to Libby Samuelson, Robin Kilwine, Dan Belknap, Eric Wickland, Octavia, thank you so much for letting us do this and giving your permission as president for us to have such a fun event.
And snacks. Thank you for the snacks.
Yes, and for providing us snacks and wine every time we come over to your house to plan.
It's
So-
worth being on the committee. Any committee.
But yes, we're very, very excited, and we just really want this to be a super fun event for the community to just get dressed up and let loose and have fun.
And Cam
Dance.
being a dance mom in the back.
Yes. All right, thanks, everybody.
I will talk about the garden tour at the beginning, but I think it's time for Josh to come up and talk about the farmer's market. Yes, I'll let you take it.
Oh, yeah. Decided to take a ride.
Stand here like one people do it, if it doesn't work.
Just in case. Searching.
Oh, this worked like a champ on Kevin's laptop. Doesn't like it.
We'll try again. If not, I'll act out the survey results. There we go. Just needed a- Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Joshua Meisner. So I've been working on the Farmers Market Committee. I want to talk through some updates and then some survey results. So quick overview for those of you that may not be familiar. When Friends of Madison Park first got started up, one of the big requests was for a farmers market to come to the neighborhood. And doing a lot of research and meeting with a lot of folks, it was kind of determined that it was going to be a significant effort for the community council to try to tackle. There's a lot of finances, a lot of logistics, a lot of permits involved. And so we determined, let's reach out to some of the local Seattle farmers markets and see if there's an opportunity for partnership. And so we have started a lot of those discussions with the local Seattle farmers markets, which is exciting. So Octavia and I were able to meet with the Washington State Farmers Market Association Board President, who also is the Executive Director of the Queen Anne Farmers Market, providing a lot of great information and connections. We've also met with some other local Seattle Farmers Market Associations about partnering, and they expressed a lot of interest. And so they took that to the kind of, it's not an incorporated group, but all of the local Seattle farmers markets actually get together and meet and discuss if there's ever going to be any expansions or changes. And so they brought into that group to see is anybody opposed to bringing a farmers market to this neighborhood and community. No opposition, which is really exciting. So everybody in that group is open to it. And so Octavia and I also did kind of an informal door-to-door survey on Madison Street with the impacted businesses, just to kind of gauge interest, opposition, things like that. So got some good feedback there. And so in our conversations with the Seattle Farmers Market Association, they're still talking with boards and things like that, but it is looking very, very positive. And so we're hoping for a 2025 launch. So next like spring, early summer, we would start. So we also sent out a survey. Thank you to those of you that responded. We had 57 folks respond, and so I wanted to just provide the results of that to you guys. So when we looked at our survey respondents, we know it's super tiny, so I will read it for you, but 84% lived within less than a mile, and then the other 14% were within the 100 mile radius. So everybody responding was right in the neighborhood. We asked how often folks would plan on visiting. So 48 folks said that they would visit weekly if it were available. The next one was highest was once a month. So then just once for the rest of it. Never. We didn't have one of those. So that's fine. They can do something else then. When we also wanted to gauge how much do folks plan on spending, and this is really helpful for the associations to communicate to farmers to gain that interest and what kind of spend would be in the neighborhood. The majority of the highest volume was $30 to $50 per visit, followed by $20 to $30, and then 10 to 20 with some outbound discount. So a lot of folks reference that they would do a lot of their grocery shopping if they could, buying their produce there, which is really exciting. We also asked how important it is that low-income shoppers can shop at the market using SNAP food stamps. And Seattle has a lot of different, and Washington State have a lot of different benefits, which is also why it's very advantageous to partner with things like FreshBucks, WIC, and senior FMNP. And so 74% of folks indicated it was either a 3 to 5. So the majority of folks wanted to make sure that that was accessible to folks in the community using those benefits. The primary reason for shopping at a farmer's market, as anyone could expect, 63% listed a food-related reason. And so affordable food, environmentally friendly food, healthy food, and tasty food was one of the options. So I think that qualifies for lots. And then we also want to make sure we're working with the businesses and gauging any sort of impacts that may occur there. So we asked in our conversations, there will be some vendors that sell like kitchen-related things like cutting boards, handmade knives, cutlery, things like that. And so we asked folks if they saw any issues with that. 30 respondents said no, 8 said yes, 19 said maybe, or had kind of like other comments. And so a few of those were, I think it would bring more business to Madison Park in general. Yes, Cook and Madison Kitchen, Madison Bakery, and Martha E. Harris, how do the shop owners feel about this? And as I mentioned, those are conversations that we're having with the business owners to make sure that they're aware and on board. And another one was yes, but no more so than the Christmas market did this last year. We shop local and choice is good. So overall, people were very supportive. And the farmers markets are not geared towards being like craft markets. Local in Seattle, the mix is 75% food goods. And so the rest are all like typically kitchen supporting type crafts or goods. We also talked about road closure. So I know this is very small, but this is just that little stretch right there. So McGilvra's to kind of where it ends near How to Cook a Wolf at the crosswalk. That's kind of the area in our assessment and talking with the different farmers markets associations that would be ideal. 48 respondents said they did not feel like they would be impacted by that. And part of that is because it eliminates any sort of like hang up. You can still always get around through byways. And 5 respondents had like minor issues with it. And then 4 other responses said causing more traffic on residential street, a dependence on the time, lack of business parking, and possibly I like the idea of a market, but don't want the added traffic of cars and people. The next thing with the farmers market is going to come an influx of visitors to the neighborhood, which in the summer months we know we already have a lot of folks visiting us for the park and the lake. So we asked how might that impact your decision for Madison Park to have a farmers market with that influx. 43 folks said no impact, or 75%. 10 said some. 2 people said significant impact, and then 2 were opposed to it. And then we had 23 folks share additional comments. I pulled out just a couple. One individual said they're concerned about the impact of a farmers market in Madison Park with the existing farmers market in Madrona. So that's over at the grocery outlet. That is something that is being taken into consideration, and that was discussed with that farmers market group about how to make sure that we're still providing resources in that area. And so there may be some slight location moves and things like that. I'm not sure. Both areas are resourced. And then other folks just said, you know, they're already shopping and they would love to be able to shop in the neighborhood instead of going to like Capitol Hill or Monkey. People talked about living in neighborhoods with farmers markets and really loving it. Making sure that we have afternoon, early evening hours, which is what that target would be on Thursdays, so that working families can attend and participate. And one individual asked if it could be in front of Park Shore, just wanted to address that. But due to the road impacts, there wouldn't be really a way to have it on that road since it would block folks in. And the last one is they would love a farmer's market in Madison. So for next steps, we'll continue those ongoing conversations and provide updates to you guys with the Seattle Farmers Markets Association once we get kind of approval from boards and things like that to roll that out. And then we'll work on mobilizing volunteers to just continue to engage with the business and community members as we prep for next summer, and then we'll identify a target launch date for 2025. Yeah.
What about the B of A parking lot, because they've got those 2 parking lots there instead of impeding the traffic pattern?
Yeah, it's just very small. And so in order to make a farmer's market kind of profitable and worth it, you have to have about 50 businesses. And so when we did look at that parking lot, and we looked as well on the tennis courts. The other thing that really limits you is the fire marshal requires at least 20 feet of space in between booths to be able to get through in case of fire. And this main road is kind of the only one that meets that requirement.
So then this street would be too small too, that goes down
Yes.
and off?
Yep, because we remember that one too.
Okay.
Octavia and I have been
Alrighty.
done, yeah, lots of measuring. Yeah,
I don't have an issue with it being on the street, I think that's great, but they're saying that you have to have 20 feet between each, like, person's tent.
on one side, on each side, yeah, so, you have to be able to go through the center, booths.
I was like, I've been to Ballard, that's not how that works.
No, we've learned a lot about it and stuff. You do have to have like spaces every couple tents as well, just to have public exits in between
Yes.
tents.
I just want to make sure I heard correctly, you don't anticipate being able to get this done for this coming summer, but the following.
Correct, yes, 2025. We did talk to them, and Octavia was pushing really hard, and I know we've had a lot of meetings with them trying to see if it was possible. Farmers markets really start occurring within the fall of the previous year, and they reached out to a lot of the farmers to see if they have the staff to support it, and they just didn't, unfortunately. this year. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you'll have like contracts with, people that would be committed to coming every Thursday.
Correct,
Would you
yeah.
have some flexible spaces, like if a business wanted to rent a space for like a special, like a fundraising thing, or
That's
like
a good
a
question.
awareness thing or something like that, or like just a special business that wanted to rent? I don't know, I've lived in several towns where we've had really very established farmers markets, and there always was kind of like some flex space in certain areas, so you'd see new stuff every now and then, instead of
Yeah.
just the exact same stuff every single week.
That's a great question. I don't think we did discuss that like quite in detail level
Okay.
yet, but that's a great piece of feedback. We can bring to them. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And like I said, if you do have questions, you can email me at farmersmarket@princeton.com. Everyone.
Almost everything. Kevin Larkin is gonna talk to us now about after that.
Great presentation.
You'll do
See
great.
if you can top that.
No, there's no way. Actually, need that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, he did such a nice job reminding you what he was here for. I had to quickly just put up my survey that we ran. So I'm working on the committee that's kind of looking at what we should do about kind of like the bigger projects. What, should we do something with the bathhouse? Should we do something with these parks? And so we did a survey. Last time I was here, I kind of presented early numbers that came about. And so what I want to do is just kind of walk through real quickly what basically has come of that, and then talk about where we're going from here. So, as soon as it's out. Excellent. All right, so we ended up getting 100 people to respond to our survey, which actually was the number I really wanted, and so we hit that. That was good. If you listen to our numbers, about 450 people hit this, hit the website. It's almost a quarter of the people that participate. So that's a good number. What you see here is we kind of have these 6 categories that we reached out and just we put down. We kind of came up with ideas about what we wanted to talk about. And as you can see, the one that kind of hit the highest point was definitely the beach house, or the bathhouse, excuse me. As you can see, 91% of the respondents thought that was something that they wanted to have happen. So, If you look at the other ones, it was interesting. You can also see, community center was, kind of high. It's in the 80%. We talked about like, should we work on Madison Park? And then people like 50%, that's like Madison Park, the park over there seems pretty good. So people were really interested in this area. Now the second number there, I have the priority list over on the side. One of the last questions that we had on the survey was, okay, we've talked about these areas. Go ahead and drag and drop and put them to which one you think has the highest priority. And again, the bathhouse showed up as number 1. But you'll notice, either I have a bunch of typos or I did it on purpose. I have a whole bunch of number 2s. And that was because they all lined, 3 of those people lined up really close. And so we dug into that. And what's really interesting when you look at this is, though the bathhouse was number 1, the number that chose it as number 1 was actually kind of small. And a community center was actually the highest that people said of their things, that was their highest priority. And I thought that was really interesting. So the reason the bathhouse showed up as number 1 is because on the previous slide when it's the priority, is because you can see that it's number 1, number 2, and number 3. It is the highest priority overall. People rated it the highest. But it was just really interesting to see that the community center was something that the people said is really important, and it's even higher, like the majority of people that put it as number 1 was that. So it's just kind of an interesting take on the data. So what does this all mean? And where do we go from here? So this is really just kind of a litmus test to say, okay, we think we want to investigate doing a community center, we investigate doing something with the bathhouse, and it's clear the community is interested as well. So, all right, litmus test done. So what we're going to do next is we want to do focus groups. We want to go out and reach out to the different segments in this community and find out what their wants are and try to put together the Venn diagram. Find out what does community mean to you versus what does community mean to you, and find out what this is that we're going to do. And so as you can see, we have a lot of ideas. This is just some of them, but we want to definitely hit the Park Shore and have it, get that group. We want to hit the LGBTQ community as well. And then John, Octavia's husband, and I, we want to hit the bar and have have one there. So we think that we'll get a nice cross section of information that way. So what we're doing right now is we're starting to put together the survey that we will take to these groups. We're going to organize getting people out. We're also planning to go and basically do kind of sidewalk, meet people on the sidewalk and just try to kind of hit them with some questions, hopefully get some video so that we can kind of use that as kind of a selling point when we start going further. And then the other thing that came about during our conversation is, okay, we think we're going to come up with a bunch of ideas about what a community is. And we, talking to some of the parents, gosh, we really love a place where our kids can go do something and they could, like what about parents' night out, every week, parents' night out, or my kids get out of school, I'd love for them to be able to go somewhere in that community and have it happen. Well, what we started thinking is, people will say all that, but will they actually do it? And so what we want to look at is, can we prototype this? Can we, maybe if this kind of information comes out of our research on what is a community center, could we set up and say, do Friday nights out for parents and, have, set that up here and see if we're successful. So this is kind of the direction we're going. I'm expecting to have the focus groups done over April, and probably, I'm guessing it's probably going to run a little bit into May, and we'll report back on that. Any questions?
I love the idea where they can come here, but they have to go out to dinner for their date night in the park.
Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah.
They have to stay close.
But there's all that baggage that goes with, like kids and adults, and it's just like, there's a lot of scary stuff trying to put something like that together to make sure that you do it right. So, well, thank you very much.
I should also say with all of this, the focus group is probably the first step. We have also talked to the Seattle Parks Foundation because they help support projects like what we're talking about. and help us navigate how to deal with the parks department. And so we have met with them. We've also met with an architect just to look at the space and the building. Nothing firm from that, but just have some ideas of, this is a classic building that's got some wonderful lines to it with really poor use of space. And if we wanted to, you know, turn it into a community center, is it expandable? Do we go up? What could that look like? That is in sync with what Madison Park feels like and looks like. So,
I beg to differ that it's not a poor use of space.
well, this
I'm
is
just gonna throw that out there.
well, this is not a poor. What you all have done in here is remarkable.
I just said that comment.
Yes.
I think educating preschoolers and families in our community is not a poor use of space.
So let me rephrase that,
Just
okay?
throw it out.
Architecturally, this building could be used, the lower part, and potentially expanding it could be a use of space that does not ever eliminate the co-op preschool. That, I think, is really important to us. It's really, the co-op preschool is really part of the community and is an integral part of whatever would happen if we are able to do that. So, you know, I roll in that back, the way I phrase
I
that.
don't, it's in the minutes, it's on the YouTube, you know, I just wanna make sure that, you know, it's
Okay,
clear.
okay. I appreciate that, for sure. So anyway, we're exploring lots of avenues. Obviously, if something like this is to happen, it's a major capital campaign as well. So we're talking to people about how to help us if we go that direction. So, this is a multi-year process, for sure. So there's just two more things. We're actually almost using up all our time. Is Music in the Park is underway. The series is being pulled together. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Emily. We are making some good progress with Music in the Park this year already, which is exciting, giving ourselves a little bit more time than we did last year. We actually have our full slate of bands confirmed already. So we've got 5 Thursdays for Music in the Park this year. It's gonna be every Thursday in August, right over here in the park. And we have a couple of bands coming back from last year. So we have Buena Vista, which was the salsa band, and the Dads. And then we've got some new bands as well. I'm not gonna be able to recall them off the top of my head, but one of them is kind of a funk rock band. Oh, Motley Traffic, that's the name of the band. So, nice little context. And then we have kind of more of a pop band, and then another kind of rock cover band. So I think we have a good slate of events, or a good slate of bands. Right now we're really kind of turning towards the fundraising part and the sponsorship piece of it. So we had some awesome sponsors last year who we're hoping to bring back on board this year. But if anyone has ideas for new sponsors who might be interested in supporting Music in the Park, would love to talk to you. The cost of doing business is going up a bit, so the cost of permits went up from last year. We're also bringing on we have 5 Thursdays this year. Last year we only had 4, so that's another band, another permit. We're considering trying to put a stage, so that's kind of a cost that we're determining if it's feasible based on what our sponsorships look like. So, and also looking at potentially bringing a food truck this year. So, some exciting things happening. If you're interested in being part of the planning committee, I'm happy to have more people on board. So, just send me an email and
So we have 2 more speakers for our Tuesday TED Talks coming up. Do you want to get up first and talk about who's coming?
Yeah, the series has been really fabulous, and we have 2 more. One is Lisa Port, which will be the second Tuesday in April, and she is an expert on landscape design. So it's the time we'll be planting, and her subject will be on having blooms in different color, different plants exploding throughout the whole year. So it'll be very interesting. And then the speaker in May, I'm extremely looking forward to, it's Bruce Balick, who was the head of the astronomy department at UW, and he's been involved in these magical telescopes we have these days, and he'll be showing us stunning imagery from the James Webb Telescope and talking about the universe.
So please do sign up, that's on our website too, it's easy, $15 a ticket to come here, these last two speakers. And then, yes.
How did the AI one go?
Oh, it was such an interesting conversation. It was great. And she showed an image of Madison Park looking up the hill from, I can't remember if anyone else saw it, was it 30 years in the future? And what it would look like using AI. And it was, yeah, and it brought up all the fears and all the excitement. It was a great conversation.
So the last event that I want to talk about, because this one we do need volunteers for, and we need people to come see. We have a garden tour, and we have, I think at this point we have 13 homes on the tour. We might have 14, and we have a couple of walk-bys. So this is, it's walkable. It's less than a mile from the first home, which is kind of near the back of the Seattle Tennis Center, to down by the Beaver Sanctuary area, and they're in groupings along the way. And so you get to peek in the backyard of some homes that you might have been curious about. And we need volunteers to be there on the day of the event, to be in a garden or help us process people coming through. But this is only $20. You get to see 12 plus gardens. There's also a pop-up market that's going to be going on at the same time with sort of a garden theme that will be in the Bank of America parking lot. So it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and it's done at 3. So please come. This should be really fun. Again, weather. Hoping for good weather, but rain or shine, the gardens will be beautiful.
When is it?
Oh, did I not say that? I probably didn't, did I? It's the end of the day. It's on Saturday, May 18th from 10 until 3. So please come, it would be fun. I think we've done it. Any other questions, any other business? Thank you all for coming. Thanks for signing up, if you signed up. And our next meeting is a month from today. We did skip a month because of the midwinter break and just so many of us gonna be gone. So, the next one is the last Monday, 29th, April, the 29th? 29th, am I right?
And then October, off from May, right? May's an off month.
I'm sorry,
May's an off month there.
May, because it's Memorial Day weekend, is an off month.
I'll be out of town.
Thank you guys so much.
Traveling for the holiday.
A lot of cool things.
Good luck.
I've been there.
Dance show for a while. I had like an artificial and I felt it on. I just got it yesterday.
Oh, in the little box. I was wondering what that was.
You know, like big Halloween. Learn more about that. Yeah, I'll see you. Okay, take care.
Oh, push that.